Good morning, everybody. Hope you're having a lovely day, morning, whatever it is. And how did we all go with our, Victorians and some others started their online lessons yesterday? We went really well over here because I didn't have to have anything to do with it, and my wife did all of the things. I was working, busy on the phone with ears going a little bit deaf. I must say I'm so grateful for all of the amazing people who have wanted to join us at the Mind Master. It has been probably in 10 years we have not seen as much interest in doing things differently as we have right now. Obviously, circumstances are a little different, and that's possibly why. From conversations on the phone, I'm hearing a lot of parents telling me that they didn't know their child was so far behind, and they didn't know that they couldn't do this and they couldn't do that, and that's really worrying them. And they're worried about, oh my goodness, if we don't get this fixed now, what's the future going to be like, and all these things. It is a little bit scary when that happens, and sometimes Steve learned his lesson yesterday. Very good. Hey, Amanda. I've been hearing a lot of that coming through the phone, and honestly, guys, now is the time to do something different if nothing has worked in the past. If you've been going to tutoring and speeches and OTs and independent learning plans, all the things, if you've been doing that and you haven't seen amazing results, maybe it's time to look at doing something totally different and out of the box, which is where I had to look many, many years ago, and a friend called Bill, and we started a tutoring business, but then we started to look into rewiring the brain, which has been just the standout in 20 years of educating kids to actually have children moving and getting at level and above. It's been the best thing as an intervention that we can do, as well as mindset. And mindset is huge. And that's something else we've been developing over the past 7 years, not so much the past 10, and looking at ways and activities that you can do at home that can actually help boost confidence, self-belief, getting kids stepping out of their comfort zone, reframing those negative words like I'm dumb, I can't, and you know how we get into that. We call it charging our batteries, and when our batteries are drained, we feel really low and we don't want to do things and we can't do things and nothing's going to work. And a lot of that's to do with habits. So we need to change habits. We've been doing some reading hacks, just flipping the coin a bit. We've been doing some reading hacks because, honestly, if you're a reader that is not reading awesomely well, then you can get a little down on yourself with your reading. And then you've got people like teachers and parents sitting next to you, and okay, let's go, let's do some reading. Here we go. So then I will say hi. I haven't rung him in a couple of weeks, Steve. There you go. So we've got these kids doing their reading every day at the same time in the same place, and the cat went down the street, and then they've got this perceived judgment sitting over them, who's honestly, parents, you're not judging at all. You're trying to help your kids. But in our minds, that's what we're thinking. So if we can get away from just every single day reading and the cat sat down on the mat, if we can get away from that just a couple of times a week and help bring some enjoyment back in reading, then you can start to have enjoyment for reading lift. And I spoke about the iPad activity, I think it was last week, where we get the kids to read to an iPad and then they listen back and then they follow along to what they're hearing. And that way they're picking up on their own mistakes without somebody else telling them that we need to go faster. So they then become their own reading analyst, if you like. There's so many different ways of doing things. If you go up to the top of the Facebook page, you'll see a video of me with this silly thing in my mouth from the game Watch Your Mouth. I don't know if I got him here. No, I haven't. And so just reading in that with that silly thing in your mouth can make reading more enjoyable, and we can start to associate reading with enjoyment again. Okay. Now, if your kids love reading, fantastic. Keep it going. But, you might like to read on the trampoline, all right, and read a couple of pages and get them to do a somersault. Or you might like to pick a word each. So let's say the book is about dragons. And before you open the book, you talk about what the book is going to be about. What do you think? Okay, think of a word to do with dragons, and I'll think of a word to do with dragons. So might come up with scary, or they might come up with fire. Now, whenever that word appears in the book, they can do a somersault or do 10 push-ups or get you to make a funny face, or just different ways instead of the same thing to help get that anxiety about reading away. What else? Oh, one of my favorites is and especially at this time, I think it's a really good one, is get your kids to Skype in their grandparents and read them a story. They can practice the book, they can act out the book, they can do whatever, but Skyping in grandparents, I think, is a really good way to keep that communication going. And often when we're reading to somebody else, we're trying harder, and we're also giving something back, which is really cool. All right. Hope that made sense, everybody. Yeah. What have we got? We've got half an hour and we're about to jump onto our online training to do with rewiring the brain, and so raise ability through rewiring the brain and raise confidence through mindset techniques, etc. That's what we're going to be discussing in the next half an hour. We start. If you want to join us, I'll pop a link underneath this afterwards. All right. Thank you, amazing people. Keep safe, keep grateful, and we'll see you tomorrow. Bye-bye. I think, if I can find the button. Oh, there it is. Yes.